Hello Greenspan students, this is Miss Martin. I'm going to help you out with volume of cylinders on this video. So pause the video and take down the information that you see there. That is the formula for volume you do have of a cylinder, and you do have to memorize it. So go ahead and write that down. And now I'm going to go ahead and start solving the equations in the assignment that you have. Okay, so we have a cylindrical construction pipe. It has a 1.5 foot radius, and if the pipe is 12 feet long, what is the volume? And use 3.14 for pi in your formula. And round your answer to the nearest whole number. I'm going to switch over to pencil. So this is very important to remember, that your answer has to be rounded to the nearest whole number for it to be correct, and also include the correct units in your answer. And I'm just going to tell you right now, whenever you're using volume, the correct units is whatever unit to the third power, because there's three measurements you're using. You want to have, for volume, you want to have the exponent of 3 in your answer. I'm already telling you I want to go a lot faster than what I'm saying. So here we go. Okay, so here is the height. This is the radius. That's all I need. I just need the height and the radius. So the formula is pi r squared h. So pi will be 3.14 times the radius, which is 1.5. Square that times the height. I know I'm doing the old-fashioned little x here, but I got so many decimals and all. I just rather for students to totally understand exactly what I'm doing here. So you're going to multiply all of that. You're going to multiply first. Go ahead and take care of your exponent. 1.5 times 1.5. Multiply that times 3.14. Multiply that times 12. Each time I'm saying to do something, go ahead and pause it if you want, or just keep watching. This is really going to be a tool for your assignment, but it's not the same numbers in your assignment. So as long as you know that this is what you're supposed to do, you'll be fine. When you do this, I'll calculate this first time, but that's it. After that, I'm just going to write down the answers that I have, because I have the key. So 1.5, I'm going to do that first. 1.5 squared. 2.25 times, and I can multiply in any order here as long as I multiply each of the correct numbers. 3.1, I just did 3.4, so let me try that again. Listen to myself. 1.5 times 1.5 times that times 3.14, and then times 12. I get 84.78. But if I'm going to round that to the nearest whole number, that's going to equal 85. What are the units? Well, they were feet. And what did I say? Every time you're working with volume of anything, it's always to the exponent of 3. Okay, next question. This time, if you look, that's not a radius. 12 is not the radius. That's the diameter. So to get the radius, you literally have to cut the diameter in half. So the radius equals 6. My height is 17, and I'm using pi. 3.14 times 6 squared times 17. You multiply that, and you round to the nearest whole number. I guess I'll do one more calculation showing you with the calculator. So that will be 3.14 times 6 squared. I know that. Don't sit there and go 6 times 6. You know that's 36. Times 17 equals 1,921 and 68 hundredths. But if we're going to round that to the nearest whole number, that's going to equal, you got it, 1921, 1,921. Okay? All right, the next problem. You have a cylindrical construction pipe, and the radius is 2, the height is 12. So see if you can beat me in writing out what the the formula is pi times r squared times h, so that'd be 3.14 times 2 squared times 24. So that's 3.14 times 4 times 24, and rounded to the nearest whole number is going to equal 301. And what are the units? They are feet cubed. I'm not sure if I did feet cubed on the last one. I didn't. But just remember, everything is cubed. Okay? Next one. You have a 6.5, and that's called not a diameter, but a radius, because a radius is half of a diameter, so we're good with that. The height is 16, and we're multiplying it times pi, because it's pi r squared h. So it's going to be 3.14 times 6.5, square that, and then multiply that times 16. Rounded to the nearest whole number, my answer is 2,123 feet cubed. So if you choose to do these problems that I'm doing, just know that I'm flying through it. I'm mostly just setting up the problem just to get you used to setting up the numbers that you're given and plugging them into the formula. But in terms of the actual calculation, I'm not going to spend that time. If you want to, fantastic, but for practice. But you still have to do the assignment. This is just the teaching, okay? So you still have to do this assignment on your own, which will have different numbers. Problems will all be just like these. So as you can tell, once you get on this and you understand how to multiply pi times a radius squared times a height, it's really easy. Okay, question 5. We got a, whoops, that's not a radius, is it? That's a diameter. The diameter equals 6. So cut that in half and the radius equals 3. Now, using pi times r squared times height, you get 3.14 times 3 squared times 36. And let's see, question 5, the answer is 1,017 feet, what is it? Cubed, okay? All right, I'm going to move on to the word problems. On the word problems, and right now we're at 7.5 minutes for this lesson, but this is all you'll need for cylinders, so that's good. Plus this is my first one, so it's probably going slower than the ones in the future. This will probably end up being about 10 minutes for this lesson. Okay, this is a word problem. But really, what you have to look for is, as I've always said, is decoding. We're making wax candles in the shape of a cylinder. So now I know I'm going to be using pi times r squared times h. And in that, I need a radius. Well, look at that. Each candle has a radius of 2 inches. So there's my 2 for my radius, okay? And pi is always going to be the same. That's not going to change. And a height of 7 inches. So that's going to be my height. Same thing as what we just did on the other page. You go ahead and multiply all of that out, and that I am going to have to do as we do it because I don't know what the volume of one candle is. The wax candle in one is going to have a volume of times 4 times 7 is 87.92. Okay, and we're saying use 3.14 for pi and do not round your answer. So what I'm going to say is to you, I'm going to write down all of these numbers, 87.92. That's for one candle, okay? How much is it? How much wax will they need? Here's the question. So once you've found that volume, knowing that you're using cylinder, now how much wax is it going to take for 210 of these candles? So hopefully you know that you need to multiply 87.92 times 210. So I'm going to do this. And that equals a big number, 18463.2. And it said not to round your answer, so I'm going to leave it just like that, okay? And again, we need to put our units. So remember, when you're finding volume of anything, what do you do for the exponent? You keep it as a 3. So there's your answer. All right, moving on to number 7. Boy, this might go a little longer than 10. What I might do each time is, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Okay, we got cylinders again. Of course, all of these questions are about cylinders, but if you have a word problem on some standardized test, you need to know what shape you're working with so you know which formula to use. Okay, we have a cylinder. We have a radius of 4. We got a height of 2. I'm ready to go. 3.14 times 4 squared times 2 equals times 16. That's 4 squared times 2. That's 100.48 for one tank. The cost is $5 per cubic foot to rent these tanks. Okay, so each of these is there's cubic feet, right, inside of all of these, because this, if I just stopped here, I'd say this one tank is the size of 100.48, and what are we talking about? Feet, cubic feet. Well, so if each cubic foot is $5, I want to know how much it is for the whole thing. It's $5 for each cubic foot inside this over 100 cubic feet. You're going to multiply. Okay? So when you do that, you're going to get 502.4. Now, what are we talking about? This was times $5, right? So this is $502, and not just 4, but 40 cents to make it look like money. Okay, so in here, you multiplied by the 5. Okay, this would be the multiplied by the 5. You're either going to multiply by another number or you're going to divide by another number, depending on the question. Okay, on the next one. So we have steel rods shaped like cylinders. Each rod is a diameter of 8 centimeters. Let's fix that right now. If that's a diameter of 8, I need a radius. My radius is 4. And a height of 20 centimeters. Okay, so we're going to find the volume of this one steel rod. One rod will be 3.14 times 4 squared times 20. All right. Takes forever, doesn't it? Well, it doesn't, to be honest. Okay, 4 squared is 16. Just does it to me since I'm teaching this one by one. You'd be so much faster than me with talking. Some of you have already solved it. 1,004.8. And again, these are going to be cubic centimeters. And they're saying if one rod is this much material, steel, and they have this much steel to make a whole bunch of rods, how many rods did it make? Here's one rod, and here's the total steel for a bunch of rods. So what you're going to do is you're going to divide. And this is such a huge number anyway, this is when you know you're going to divide. Okay? Divide what? You're going to divide all of this steel by how much it is for one steel rod, and you'll get how many rods did it make. So I got to erase this because I have an old-fashioned calculator. 172.8 divided by 100. Oops, gotta start that over. It's 1,004. Okay, 36. Told you, you're gonna be done before I am. 72.8 divided by 1004.8. And isn't that funny? With all of that work, all of those huge numbers, it equals 36. And what are we talking about? 36 rods can be made out of all of that steel. Okay? All right. We're not 14 minutes. I will be making these shorter, I assure you. Okay, we have another steel rod, diameter of 4. Okay, remember, can't have diameter, need a radius for this formula. Okay, so radius of 4, or radius of from a diameter of 4 is 2, and the height is 60. All right, so it's 3.14 times 2 squared times, I did the old-fashioned, times 60, that's okay. All right, 3.14 times 2 squared is 4 times 60, and that equals 753.6, and I'm not going to worry about units yet. I just know that it says if it takes this much for one, how much will it need for 192 rods? This is how it is for one. This is like that candle question a second ago. This is how much is for one, but I need 192. So hopefully you understand that this is a multiply. This is a times question, all right? So I'm going to multiply that times 192 to tell me how much it is altogether. And it's a big number like the last one we just saw of how much steel that was. It will be big, okay? And our units here, oopsie, I'm off of my, I'm off of this, I'm sorry. I don't know how long I've been off the page. Centimeters cubed, okay? So yep, you get big numbers, you get decimals, yep, you get smaller numbers depending on if you're multiplying or dividing. The last one, we're gonna finish this off. All right, cylinder, radius, height, I'm ready to go, okay? That's 3.14 times 3 squared times 5. Okay, that is 3.14 times 9 times 5 equals 141.3. Talking about meters, we're talking about a concrete pillar, and if it's this much for one, this is a cubic meter, which is M with a little 3, cubic meter, and we need 108, and each cubic foot inside of this is $108. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna multiply this times each one times $108, all right? Which gives us, we're not dividing, we don't need to know how much, we know what one is, we wanna know how much per cubic foot that's gonna cost. So that's gonna equal big number, 15,260.4. Now what were we talking about, that 108? That was dollars. So this is, that's my dollars. This is dollars. So it's $15,260.40, okay? That's volume of cylinders, and that handles that entire assignment, but now it's your turn to do it on your own, okay? So good luck.